If you're over 65 and living alone, there's something happening inside your home right now, tonight, that your doctor has almost certainly never mentioned to you. It's not dramatic, it doesn't announce itself, and that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. Most people assume the biggest threats to their health and independence come with obvious warning signs. But what the research is revealing is something very different and very surprising. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share could genuinely change the next chapter of your life. Most people believe that health decline in older adults comes from big events, a diagnosis, a fall, a hospital visit. But according to findings from the National Institute on Aging, the real erosion of independence in older adults often comes from quiet, everyday habits. Habits that feel completely harmless. Habits most people would never think to question. Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Carter, Senior Health Advisor with 22 years of experience helping older adults live healthier, more independent, and more fulfilling lives. Welcome to Wisdom Vitals. Today, I want to walk you through 12 specific behaviors, things that many older adults living alone do every single day that are quietly working against their safety, their memory, and their independence. And more importantly, I want to show you exactly what to do instead. Before we dive in, I want to hear from you. How old are you today, and where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. Now, let's get into it. We're counting down from 12 to 1, from important to absolutely critical. This information is for educational purposes only. Everyone's situation is different. If you have concerns about your health, please speak with a qualified healthcare professional. This video is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Number 12. Skipping morning light exposure. Here's something most people never hear from their doctor, and it might be one of the simplest, most powerful things you can do each morning. The first 30 minutes after you wake up may be the most biologically important window of your entire day, and many older adults living alone spend it moving from bedroom to kitchen under artificial light, never once stepping near a bright window. Researchers at Harvard Medical School found that adults over 65 who received less than 30 minutes of natural morning light had significantly disrupted cortisol rhythms, leading to poorer sleep, higher inflammation, and faster cognitive decline over a 3-year period. Here's the thing. After about age 65, the lens of the eye yellows and thickens, letting in roughly 50% less light than it did at 40. Your brain's internal clock, the system that governs your sleep, hormones, digestion, and immune function, becomes harder to calibrate when it isn't receiving a strong morning signal. Think of it like a radio struggling to find its station. The signal is there, the connection is just fuzzy. The good news is, the fix is beautifully simple. Spend at least 20 to 30 minutes near a bright window each morning, or better yet, step outside. Pair it with your morning tea. If you live somewhere with limited winter sunlight, a 10,000 lux light therapy lamp at breakfast can make a meaningful difference. Number 11. Eating every meal in silence and isolation. This one may sound too small to matter, but the research says otherwise. A 10-year study from the University of Illinois, tracking over 3,000 adults aged 60 and older, found that those who consistently ate alone in silence, no phone call, no enjoyable program, no connection of any kind, were 41% more likely to develop depression and showed measurably worse nutritional absorption compared to those who incorporated even modest social connection around mealtimes. The mechanism is fascinating. Eating in a positive, engaged emotional state activates your parasympathetic nervous system, what most people call the rest and digest response. When that system is active, your stomach produces digestive enzymes more efficiently. Your body actually gets more nutritional value from the same food. For older adults specifically, this matters enormously because the body's ability to convert nutrients into muscle, bone, and cellular repair gradually declines after age 70. The fix? Call a friend or family member during at least one meal per day. Keep something you genuinely enjoy on in the background. Not just noise, but something you actually look forward to. Many senior community centers now offer free virtual meal sharing groups. They're worth looking into. Number 10. Overlooking floor and doorway hazards. A viewer named Margaret, 78, from Louisiana, told me something I'll never forget. She'd lived in her home for 41 years and never once thought of the small strip between her kitchen tile and living room carpet as a health risk. One Tuesday morning, she caught her foot on it and fractured her hip. She spent 11 weeks in rehabilitation. If that sounds familiar, if there are thresholds, loose rugs, or uneven surfaces in your home you've been stepping around for years, please hear me clearly. The CDC reports that falls are the leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries in adults over 65. 1 in 4 Americans aged 65 and older falls each year. And after the first fall, the risk of a second one within 6 months rises dramatically, often because the fear of falling changes the way people walk and reduces activity. Walk through your home today with the eyes of a safety inspector. Remove or firmly tape every loose rug. Install grab bars beside your toilet and inside your shower. Replace round doorknobs with lever handles, which are far easier for hands affected by arthritis. These aren't admissions of weakness. They are acts of intelligent self-preservation. Number 9. Taking medications without a structured system. I want you to hear this clearly because the numbers are sobering. A study in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that nearly 40% of adults over 65 make at least one significant medication error per week, including missed doses, double doses, and dangerous combinations with over-the-counter supplements. When you live alone, there's no second set of eyes. No one to notice you forgot your blood pressure pill, or that you took your evening dose twice. And after age 65, the liver and kidneys process medications more slowly, which means errors carry disproportionately large consequences. Invest in a weekly pill organizer that separates morning and evening doses clearly. Set labeled phone alarms, not just a generic reminder, but something specific like blood pressure, morning, and bring every single medication, including vitamins and herbal supplements, to your next appointment. Ask your doctor for a full medication review. Research shows this single step can reduce adverse drug events by up to 35%. Number 8. Keeping your home too warm at night. This one surprises almost everyone. Many older adults, especially those living alone, keep their homes warmer than optimal because they feel cold more easily. And that feeling is real. After age 60, circulation becomes less efficient at warming the hands and feet. But here's what most people don't realize. Chronically overheating your sleeping environment carries its own serious risks. Research found that adults who slept in rooms warmer than 75 degrees Fahrenheit experienced measurably worse sleep quality and reduced deep, slow-wave sleep. And deep sleep is when your brain flushes out cellular waste. Think of it like a dishwasher that only runs after midnight. If the conditions aren't right, that cleaning cycle never completes. Over time, this accumulation has been linked to cognitive decline. The ideal sleeping temperature for adults over 65 is between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Use warm, layered bedding rather than turning up the thermostat. And here's a small tip that research actually supports. Wearing warm socks to bed helps the body reach its optimal sleep temperature faster by releasing heat from the core. Are you watching from the United States, Canada, the UK, Australia, or somewhere else? Let us know in the comments. I'd love to know where the Wisdom Vitals community is reaching. Number 7. Going days without any physical human touch. A retired engineer named Robert, 81, from Washington State, told me during a consultation that he sometimes went 8 or 9 days without any physical contact with another person. No handshake, no hand on the shoulder. He felt fine mentally, but his inflammatory markers told a very different story. The science here is quietly remarkable. A study from the University of Miami's Touch Research Institute found that adults over 70 who experienced regular physical contact, even simple non-intimate touch like a handshake or a pat on the arm, showed significantly lower levels of cortisol and interleukin-6, an inflammatory protein associated with cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, and accelerated aging. When you live alone, you have to be intentional. Seek out gentle yoga classes, senior dance groups, volunteer roles that put you alongside people, and consider a pet. Multiple studies have found that stroking a dog for just 10 minutes measurably reduces cortisol and increases oxytocin, with particularly strong effects in older adults. Number 6. Losing your sense of purpose. Now here is one that carries more weight than most people realize. Purpose is not a soft concept. It is a measurable biological force. A landmark study from Rush University Medical Center followed over 1,500 adults aged 70 and older for 7 years. Those who scored highest on a standardized Purpose in Life scale were 2.4 times less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease, had lower rates of stroke, and lived an average of 7 years longer than those with the lowest scores. When you live alone, especially after retirement, the external structures that gave your days meaning gradually disappear. And without deliberate replacement, the body responds at a cellular level, with elevated inflammation and reduced immune function. You must engineer purpose, teach something, mentor someone, start a container garden, write down your memories, volunteer at a library or hospital. The content of the purpose matters far less than its consistency and depth. If you're finding this valuable, please subscribe to Wisdom Vitals so you never miss what we share each week. It means a great deal. Number 5. Living with chronic low-grade dehydration. A viewer named Elena, 74, from Arizona, came to me with persistent afternoon fatigue, recurring infections, and what she described as a foggy brain. She was drinking what she thought was a reasonable amount of fluid, 4 to 5 cups a day, but she was living in a hot, dry climate, and her body's thirst signals had long since stopped working reliably. Here's the thing most people don't know. Your thirst mechanism deteriorates significantly after age 60. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults register thirst at a much higher level of dehydration than younger adults, meaning by the time you feel thirsty, you're already meaningfully behind. Even mild dehydration of just 1 to 2% of body weight can impair cognitive function, increase fall risk, cause constipation, and stress the kidneys. The prescription is simple but requires discipline. Aim for 8 to 9 cups of fluid daily, water, herbal teas, and broths. Set a timer every 90 minutes as a reminder. Keep a measured water bottle on your counter, visible, not tucked away, because visual cues dramatically increase how much we actually drink. Number 4. Avoiding strength training. I hear this every week, and it needs to stop. The idea that strength training is for athletes or young people is one of the most damaging myths in medicine today. A meta-analysis in the British Journal of Sports Medicine reviewed 49 studies involving adults aged 65 to 90 and found that progressive resistance training improved functional strength by an average of 33%, reduced fall risk by 40%, and improved markers of bone density, blood sugar control, and even depression. After age 50, adults lose roughly 1 to 2% of their muscle mass per year, a process called sarcopenia. After 65, that rate accelerates. And this isn't just about how you look. Muscle is your metabolic engine. It's the primary site of glucose uptake. It produces anti-inflammatory compounds that protect your brain, your heart, and your immune system. Resistance bands, light dumbbells, or simple body weight movements, sit-to-stands from a chair, wall push-ups, step-ups, are enough to create meaningful change. Aim for 2 to 3 sessions per week, and pair each session with a protein-rich meal within 2 hours. If you've stayed with me this far, number 3, letting your home become socially unwelcoming. Stay with me on this one, because the research is extraordinary. A study from Brigham Young University analyzing data from over 3.4 million participants concluded that social isolation carries a mortality risk equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes per day. Per day. When you live alone and gradually stop inviting people in, stop hosting, stop making your space somewhere others want to visit, you begin a slow slide into isolation that is very hard to reverse. The home itself begins to reflect and reinforce the pattern. The comfortable chair disappears, the dining table becomes storage, and the quiet message to yourself and to others is that connection is no longer expected here. Push back on this deliberately. Keep a comfortable seating area that's always ready for a guest.
Plan one in-home social gathering per month, even if it's just 2 neighbors for tea. Keep your space tidy enough that you'd welcome an unexpected visitor, not for appearances, but because the psychological readiness for connection has been shown to increase actual social engagement. Number 2, relying on reaction instead of prevention. Now, here's the item I mentioned at the beginning, the one that genuinely surprised me when I first encountered the research after more than 2 decades in this field. Most older adults living alone have made some version of the same plan. If something goes wrong, I'll call for help. They have a cell phone, a family member's number on the fridge, maybe a neighbor who checks in occasionally. They believe this is a safety plan. It isn't. A study from the University of Toronto followed 1,200 adults over 70 living alone for 4 years. In genuine medical emergencies, falls, cardiac events, strokes, sudden severe illness, the median time between the event occurring and help arriving was 4.6 hours when the plan relied on reactive communication. In stroke care, where clot-dissolving treatment must begin within roughly 3 hours, that gap is the difference between full recovery and permanent disability. The solution is a complete shift in thinking, from reaction to prevention and detection. This means wearing a medical alert device consistently, including in the shower, where a disproportionate number of falls occur. It means using a daily check-in app, tools like Snug or similar services that alert designated contacts if you haven't checked in by a set time each morning. It means telling your doctor you live alone so that every discharge plan, every follow-up, is designed for someone without in-home support. And it means having an honest, detailed conversation with at least 2 people in your life about exactly what to do, step by step, if you become unreachable. This is not pessimism. This is the opposite of pessimism. Building a real safety architecture is what allows you to live freely and confidently because you know the net is in place. Number 1, abandoning your brain's need for novelty. Of everything on this list, the research behind number 1 is the most hopeful and the most surprising. A study from the University of Texas at Dallas took adults aged 60 to 90 and divided them into groups. One group learned a completely new, cognitively demanding skill, digital photography, quilting, a musical instrument. A second group engaged in familiar, comfortable activities like reading or crossword puzzles. A third group focused purely on social activity. After just 3 months, the group learning genuinely new skills showed improvements in episodic memory so pronounced that researchers initially questioned their own results. They replicated the study. They found the same thing. Here's why. Your brain maintains plasticity, the ability to form new neural connections, far longer than scientists once believed. But it requires real challenge to do so. Familiar activities, even mentally engaging ones, operate along established pathways. They're like driving a road you've driven 1,000 times. Genuinely new skills require your brain to build new roads, and in that construction, something remarkable happens. The hippocampus, your brain's memory center, which begins shrinking at roughly 1 to 2% per year after age 60, actually shows measurable volume preservation in response to novel learning. In some cases, growth. A viewer named James, 83, from Vermont, started learning conversational Spanish at 79 because his granddaughter was studying in Mexico. He told me at a recent visit that his memory for names, which had been slipping for years, had noticeably sharpened. His sleep had improved, and for the first time in years, he said, he looked forward to mornings again. That is what novelty does. It doesn't just protect the brain, it restores a sense of aliveness and forward momentum that no supplement and no prescription can replicate. Learn a language. Take an online cooking class featuring a cuisine completely unfamiliar to you. Try watercolor painting. Join a local theater group. Begin something that makes you just a little nervous, because that nervousness is the sensation of new pathways forming. Here is what I want to leave you with today. Living alone does not have to mean living diminished. Every item on this list is not a warning about what's fading. It is a map, a practical, evidence-based map of the specific changes that can compound over months and years into a life that is richer, safer, sharper, and more connected than you may have thought possible. Tonight, move a chair close to your brightest window. Set a hydration reminder on your phone. Tomorrow morning, step outside for 20 minutes or sit by a window with your morning drink. Call someone during breakfast. This week, walk through your home as a safety inspector. Schedule one in-person or phone connection that you've been putting off. The science is clear. It is never too late. Adults in their 80s and 90s who begin strength training build measurable muscle. Adults who embrace novel learning show brain changes within weeks. Adults who build real safety systems and social routines experience genuinely better health outcomes, not eventually, but soon. Your independence is not something that simply fades with age. It is something you can actively protect, with knowledge, with intention, and with the willingness to do a few things differently. If someone you care about might benefit from any of this, consider sharing this video with them. It could make a real difference. This is Dr. Robert Carter, Senior Health Advisor with 22 years of experience helping older adults live healthier and more independent lives. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me today, and I'll see you in the next Wisdom Vitals Health discussion.